Hi everyone. As part of this problem, we have the input table stocks. So this table has below columns stock name, that is the name of the stock date, that is the details of the stock on a particular date, stock price, that is the price of the stock on that particular date. So every entry gives information about the stock with respect to what is its price on a particular date. Now we need to identify which are those stocks which have increasing price for 3 or more consecutive days. So if we compare the price with a previous day, if it is increasing for 3 or more days, we will report all such stocks in the output. Like for example, for IRCTC, if we see the entries from 28, 28, 29 and 30. So if we compare it with the previous days, like the previous date to 28 October was 25th October. Note that there can be weekends or holidays in between, so the dates might not be in consecutive order. There might be gaps present. So we have to consider the very just previous date. So just previous date to 28 October was 25th October. The price of this stock was 812.1. And after that it increased to 821. After that, the next day also it has increased from 821 to 824. Then it has increased from 824 to 839. So these are the three entries where it has increased. After that, it has decreased. So we should be considering all such entries where the stock has increased for 3 consecutive days. 3 business days, we can say. If on a trot, on a consecutive 3 days, if it is increasing, we are going to report all such stocks in the output. We will show what is the stock price on that date along with the previous day price and what is the difference in the price when compared with the previous date. So hope the problem statement is clear of what we need to achieve. We need to find the stocks which have the increasing price for 3 or more consecutive days. So let's get going and solve this problem. So what we will do is we will start working on this table, that is stocks. So let's keep all the columns as it is. Now what we are going to do is we are going to find the previous day's stock price. So for that, we will use the window function lag. So in the lag, we will pass the stock price as we want to find the previous entry of this column, that is stock price. And then in the window, that is the over clause, we will specify the grouping. So for every stock, there has to be a different grouping. So that's why we will specify that in the partition by to group each of the stocks separately. So once we have done this, we have to specify in which ordering the data has to be considered. So here we will specify that order is based on the stock date. And this will be the previous day price. So let's run and see the output. So as we can see, for every day, we have identified what is the previous day price. So for example, for 1st of November, the previous day price was 1497 of 31st October. Similarly, for any particular day, whatever is the previous day price, that is shown here. So this way we have identified what is the previous day price. Okay. So once we have that, we need to calculate the difference between these two columns to identify whether the stock increased or decreased when we compare it with the previous day price. So that difference we will identify now by doing stock price, that is the current day price, minus the previous day price, which we have derived here. So if we do that, we will get the difference in the price. So let's run and see the output. So as we can see, now we have the value of the previous day as well as the difference, which shows whether the stock increased or decreased with respect to the previous day price. So this will be helpful for us as we will be able to identify which are those stocks which have a positive value in the difference for 3 or more consecutive days. Another thing what we will do is we will add a row number, that is we will add a ranking function here. that is we will partition it based on the stock name, and we will order it based on the stock date. And let's call it as ID for now. Let's run and see the output. So this is the additional column we have added to show the increasing order of entries for each of the stocks. Okay, so till here, I think we are good. We have identified the previous day price and we have taken the difference between the current date and the previous day price. So that is the difference we have got. Now we need to identify 3 or more consecutive entries where the difference is in positive. So before proceeding ahead now, we will take all this data into an Excel and try to understand what is the approach we are going to take. So we have stock name, stock date. This is the stock price. This is the previous day price. This is the difference price. And this is the ID column that we generated. So this is the data that we have for now. Okay. So now what we will do is we need to focus only on those entries where the difference in price is positive. Okay, so here as we can see, we have highlighted all the differences where the difference between current stock price and previous day stock price is positive, which means there was increase in the stock price in this highlighted green color we have shown here. So now what we will do is after this, we will create a new ranking column and we will rank it based on wherever the difference is in positive for a stock. So this will give rank as 1, this will give rank as 2 in the increasing order of this ID column. Similarly, this is a different stock, so rank will be 1. For here, it will be 1, 2 and 3. And here it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. As this is a different stock, the ranking will start afresh. Okay. So why we have done this? So remember the principle that if we have two columns which are increasing by same difference, like here the difference is 1, 1, like 1, 2 minus 1 or 4 minus 3 is 1. So each number that is coming up is incrementing by 1. Similarly here, if you consider a particular stock, the increasing value is by 1. So if we have such two columns and we try to find the difference between them, if they are consecutive, we will get the same difference for those rows. So like if we identify the difference here, 2 minus 1 is 1, 5 minus 2 is 3. So these are two different categories. Even here it is 4. Now here, let's see here, we have 3 consecutive rows. So 3 minus 1 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2, 5 minus 3 is 2. So as we can see, if we have a column which is increasing and another column also is increasing and both are consecutive, then for all those consecutive rows, we will get the same difference. Okay. So this is the property that we have to use. Even here, it will be same difference. So this is the property we have to use for a stock. Now we have to find out if there is a difference, or we can call this as a difference group. So is there a difference group which is having entries 3 or more? If there are entries 3 or more for a particular difference, then that is our output, which means that the stock has increased for 3 or more days consecutively for those entries. So this is what we want in the output. So we simply have derived a new ranking column. We have added the ranking for a particular stock wherever the stock is in the increasing value. So there we have added the ranking. After that, we have computed the difference between the ID and this new rank column. And wherever the difference we have identified, wherever it is in consecutive for 3 or more entries, we will consider those entries as part of the output. So then let's go ahead and solve this. Like let's implement this. Okay, so we are here. So we have like identified the difference between the stock price and we have added this ID column. Now what we will do is we will add this as part of a CTE. Let's call it as stock CTE or stock DET. Okay. So now we will be working on this stock DET. Okay. So what we will do is we will keep only those entries where the difference in price is greater than 0. Okay. And what we will do is we will add a new ranking function as we discussed, and we will order it, like we will partition it on the stock, as we want separate ranking for each of the stock, and we will order it based on the ID column, and let's call it as our rank only. Okay. So let's run and see the output. So as we can see, now we have only those entries where the difference in price is in positive. We already had derived the ID column. Now we have derived the rank column for those entries where the price is in positive. That is, price from the previous day stock has increased. So now what we have to do is we simply have to compute the difference between these two columns and identify the difference. So let's do that quickly. So ID minus this rank column that we have, let's find the difference. So we have identified the difference now. The part that is pending is we have to keep only those entries where the same difference is occurring for 3 or more times. And it is possible that we might get the same value for two stocks. Like the difference value might be the same as the ranking is different. Like the ranking will start separately for each of the stock. So for that, to call this group, like to distinguish this one and this one separately for the stock, what we will do is we will add the stock name as well along with the difference. We will concatenate the stock name as well so that we get the groups distinguished. So for example, this coaching shipyard one and this SBI one are now two different entities. With this, we can separate it out. So what we have to do simply now, we have to count the groups. Okay, count each of the groups and see if the entries are 3 or more. If the entries are 3 or more, just keep those records where the entries are these ones, where the entries are 3 or more. So that is what we are going to do. So what we will do is we will add this as part of a new CTE. Let's call it as group DET. Okay. So now we have to get the data from here, that is the group DT. Okay, so let's pick all the columns for now, but we will keep only those groups, those entries where the groups have total count as 3 or more. So what we will do is we will create a subquery, and here we will fetch the group details where the count is 3 or more. So we will do group by diff group. Okay, and we will get the group. Okay, and we will use the having clause to identify if the entries are 3 or more. So with this, we will keep only those entries where the group details have 3 or more entries. So let's run and see the output. So this is what we have. We have identified only those entries where the group count is 3 or more. Okay, so as a last part, we will just keep the relevant columns in the output. So we have stock name, stock date, stock price, previous day price, and diff price. So let's run and see the output. So this is our final solution. We have solved the problem to identify the stock details where the stock price is increasing when compared with previous day for 3 or more consecutive days. So let's quickly summarize of how we have solved the problem. So as a first step, what we did is we basically got the stock price for the previous day. We use the lag function on the stock price column to find the previous day stock price. We partition it based on the stock name, as we have to work on each of the stocks separately. So each of the stock is a separate group. So that's why we have partitioned it based on the stock name, and we have ordered it based on the stock date so that we are able to identify the previous stock price in the increasing order of the stock date. So this way we have determined the previous day stock price. After that, we have computed the current day stock price minus previous day stock price to get the difference in price. And also we have added a new column that is partitioned by the stock name and increasing by the stock date. This we have called as the ID column. So this will give the serial number for each of the stock in the increasing order of the stock date. So this was the first step that we did. After that, what we did is write for each of the stock a new ranking function which will order based on the ID column for only those entries where the price is in positive order. Like if positive, only for those stocks we have added a rank. Then we are computing the difference between these two columns, that is ID and the newly derived rank column. So once we compute the difference between this ID column and this newly derived rank function, we will be able to identify the difference. And with this, we will be able to create a group. Okay. And we have added the stock name in the beginning so that each of the groups can be uniquely identified. After that, what we have done is we have fetched only the required columns from this CTE and kept only those groups where the entries were greater than equal to 3 for those groups. So this way we solved the problem. So please go through the video. If you found it useful, please like it. If you
comment,
have not
and
yet subscribed the channel,
subscribe.
please subscribe and please provide your feedback in the comments. Thank you.